They called her the Serpent's Daughter. 32 years ago, Raina Lang was born in secret, far from the prayers and candles of the Dustlight Fold. Now she's back. The woman who controls this desert cult, Cassandra Bell, wears silk robes and speaks in tongues. But Raina knows something's wrong. Her father, the holy pastor, didn't just die. He was erased. A forged death certificate. A diary buried beneath the altar. A man who loved her, but lied. This isn't just about faith. It's about land, power, and a woman who'd rather burn down her church than give up her throne. You won't believe who walks away in the end. But before you find out all about the rituals in this story, tell us where you're watching from and hit subscribe. We'd love to know what you think about Raina's actions. Now, let's start. The desert was dry enough to crack skin and memory. Raina Lang stood at the edge of the red dirt road, her boots covered in dust, staring at the old wooden arch that read, "Welcome to Dustlight." A child watched her from behind a cactus. A woman whispered and turned her back. No one smiled. Raina adjusted the strap of a duffel bag and walked forward. The chapel bell rang once. A long, hollow sound, like something dying. Inside the chapel, Cassandra Bell turned her head slowly. She was lighting candles in front of a portrait of Pastor Abraham Bell, her late husband. "Close the doors," she said to the boy beside her. "But the wind," the boy hesitated. "Close the doors." The boy obeyed. Cassandra stayed at the flame, then at the photograph of her husband. She touched the frame gently. "She's here," she whispered. "The serpent has returned." Outside, Raina made her way to the common house, where a few elders sat on rocking chairs, watching her like a stranger in their dreams. "I'm looking for a place to stay," Raina said. A woman with sunburned skin and a tight bun stood up. "We don't take in outsiders." "I'm not an outsider," Raina replied. "I was born here." The woman narrowed her eyes. "What's your name?" "Raina Lang." Silence. One of the men dropped his mug. It shattered. "She's Bell's bastard," someone muttered. Later that evening, Cassandra called a meeting in the chapel. "I speak today with love," she began, dressed in flowing white, her silver hair shining under the dusty light. "We are a fold, a family, and families forgive, even lost sheep." She held up a hand-painted image of a lamb with a snake wrapped around its neck. "Some return to steal peace, to plant doubt, but Dustlight stands firm." She looked directly at Raina, sitting in the back pew. "You are welcome, Raina Lang. May God cleanse you." After the gathering, Daniel Carter waited outside, hands in his pockets, leaning on a shovel. "You came back," he said softly. "I had to." His eyes scanned her face, every line, every scar from years they had lost. "I wrote," he said. "I burned your letters," she replied. A long pause. "I'm not here for revenge, Daniel," she finally said. "I just want to know the truth." Daniel looked down. "You won't like what you find." That night, Raina wandered through the cemetery behind the chapel. She stopped at Abraham Bell's grave. The headstone was clean. Too clean. She knelt and brushed the soil around the base. A corner of paper stuck out, a torn piece of old parchment. She pulled it gently. On it, scribbled in Abraham's handwriting, "The true will is buried." Footsteps behind her. She turned quickly. "Cassandra, in Dustlight, we respect the dead, child." Raina stood, eyes sharp. "And yet, you buried lies with him." Cassandra's voice was calm. "You should rest. The desert takes what it wants." In her room, a tiny space behind the old library, Raina opened her bag and pulled out the anonymous letter that had brought her back. "Your father didn't die. He was erased. No signature, no return address, just the fold seal in wax." She read it again, then hid it under the mattress. A noise outside. She opened the curtain slightly. Daniel stood at the fence, looking toward the chapel. He didn't see her, but she saw him touch the altar door and slide something underneath. The next day, Raina approached the chapel early. The doors were locked. She waited. An old man walked past and grunted. "Back already? Didn't stay gone long enough." Raina didn't flinch. When the door finally opened, she slipped inside and headed straight to the altar. Nothing looked out of place, but she remembered Daniel's hand, the way he slid something beneath. She reached under the carved base. Her fingers found a hidden latch. It clicked. A hollow space revealed a leather-bound book. Old, faded, smelling of smoke and lavender. It was Abraham Bell's journal. She opened it with trembling hands. Most of the pages were gone, but one remained. Cassandra knows. She twisted everything. If this is found, she will burn me in story and in soil. To whoever reads this, I tried. God knows I tried. A sound behind her. Daniel, I didn't mean to scare you, he said. You knew this was hay. He nodded. I hid it there. I couldn't destroy it. Why? Because he wasn't a prophet. He was a man. And men, they die. But lies stay alive if we feed them. Outside, Cassandra sat by the garden, watching a bee circle a flower. A young girl approached, her dress stained with ink. Mother Cassandra, someone's looking through the chapel. Cassandra smiled. She didn't look up. Let her look, she said. She'll only find what I left for her to find. The dustlight fold woke before the sun. By the time Raina stepped outside, the sky was soft gray and the desert wind carried whispers. She walked past the bakery, past the silent water tower, toward the library. Children stopped playing when they saw her. Women turned away. Raina pushed the door open. A small bell chimed. Inside, Sister Miriam, an elderly woman with round glasses and trembling hands, sat behind the desk. I'm looking for both records, Raina said. Sister Miriam blinked. Name? Raina Lang, daughter of Abraham Bell. The woman's lips tightened. There are no records under that name. There were. I was born here. Maybe you were, Sister Miriam said softly. But some names don't belong in the book anymore. Outside, Cassandra stood in the courtyard, feeding doves. She watched a group of young men scrub the church steps, their sleeves rolled high. A girl approached her. Leah, no more than 16, freckles across her nose and fire in her eyes. Mother Cassandra, she said. Raina was in the library. Cassandra nodded. And what did she want? She's asking about her father. Cassandra smiled sweetly. She's searching for a father who left her. That kind of wound makes a woman dangerous. She patted Leah's cheek. We must pray for her. Later, Cassandra sat before the congregation with her hands folded. Brothers and sisters, she said, I had a vision last night. The Lord spoke to me. Gasps. She walks among us, the serpent. Murmurs rose. She wears a familiar face, but do not be fooled. Doubt is her perfume. Rebellion, her song. People looked around. I'm not naming names, Cassandra said, eyes glancing toward Raina who stood at the back. But if you feel disturbed, if someone speaks poison in your ear, come to me. I will help you see the light. Raina clenched her fists. That afternoon, Raina walked past the old well when someone threw a rock. It hit her shoulder. She spun. 2 boys stood nearby. One spit on the ground. My mother said you steal. She said you're a junkie. Raina didn't move. What else did she say? That you're a whore. Raina stepped forward. Say it again. The boys ran. Daniel appeared from behind the well. They are kids. They are parrots. Raina rubbed her shoulder. Cassandra's working fast. She's been working for years. That night, Raina visited Daniel's cabin. He lived on the edge of the fold, near the sunflowers. He poured her tea. She didn't drink it. You said my father came back, she said. Daniel nodded. He ran away. I helped him. But 3 days later, he returned. Why? I don't know. He said he forgot something. What? He didn't say. He looked scared. Not like before. He said, she'll never let me go. Then he locked himself in the chapel. Raina's breath caught. And then, the next morning, Cassandra said he died peacefully in his sleep. A heart attack. And you believed her. Daniel looked down. I wanted to. The next morning, Cassandra led the children in a hymn. Raina stood by the fence, watching. Suddenly, Cassandra dropped the song and turned toward her. You've always been curious, she said loudly. Come, Raina, speak to the children. Raina hesitated. Tell them what brings you back. Raina stepped forward slowly. I came looking for peace. Cassandra smiled and found suspicion. Raina turned to the children. Your pastor was my father. He was kind to me, even if no one else was. One of the boys raised a hand. My papa said he died because of you. Gasps. Cassandra turned, fake shocked. Children, she said, we do not repeat rumors. She looked at Raina. But if someone you loved hurt themselves after reading a letter, it's hard not to ask, who wrote it? The crowd went silent. Raina stepped back, pale. Cassandra continued. I forgive you. Whatever you carry, I forgive you. Applause. Raina ran. She reached the back of the chapel and threw up behind the rose bushes. Footsteps. Daniel again. She's turning them, Raina said. Every word, every smile, it's a knife. She's good at that. She blamed me for his death. In front of the children. You can't beat her in words. Then how? Daniel paused. She keeps a room. Hidden. Under the old house. I cleaned it once. Diaries. Boxes. Something felt wrong. Show me. That night, they snuck through the back of Cassandra's estate. Daniel led Raina through the garden, past the bees, past the lavender. They found the hatch behind a broken statue. Inside, a narrow staircase led into darkness. Daniel lit a candle. The walls were lined with bookshelves, each marked with names: Leah, Ezekiel, Sister Miriam. Each name had a box below it. Raina picked hers. Inside, old-school papers, a baby blanket, a photo of a mother with the words unclean scribbled across the face. Daniel whispered, What is this? Surveillance, Raina answered. She's cataloging everyone. She found another journal labeled Visions. She opened it. Pages and pages of false prophecies. Instructions. Timelines. One line stood out. Raina returns. Divide her. Break her. Or bury her. Daniel swallowed hard. You need to leave. I'm not going anywhere. Suddenly, the candle blew out. Footsteps above. Cassandra's voice echoed through a vent. You always had your father's eyes, she said, but none of his grace. Raina froze. I see you, Cassandra said softly. You're not hiding. You're walking into the fire. A door slammed upstairs. Then silence. Daniel grabbed her hand. We have to go. They ran. The next day, Cassandra stood at the pulpit, holding up the false journal labeled Visions. Someone has broken into my private room, she said. Stolen sacred words. Misunderstood them. People gasped. I forgive them, because that's what we do. She looked at Raina, but the serpent never slithers alone. If she bites, the one who fed her must be punished too. Daniel stood at the edge of the crowd. Cassandra turned to him. You were a man of faith once, she said, until you let a woman lead you. Raina shouted, he did nothing. Cassandra closed her eyes, then let him prove it. Two guards grabbed Daniel. He didn't resist. The people watched, silent. As he was dragged away, he looked at Raina. Don't stop now. The cell wasn't more than a closet. Stone walls, dirt floor. No light. Daniel sat on a wooden bench, wrists bruised from the rope. Above, footsteps echoed. Then the creak of a door. Cassandra's silhouette appeared, glowing in candlelight. You look like your mother, she said. Daniel didn't speak. She used to cry when she prayed. Tears are a kind of offering. Did you know? Still nothing. Cassandra stepped closer, setting a small plate of bread beside him. She believed in mercy. I'm giving you a chance to follow that path. Daniel's voice cracked. Mercy doesn't wear perfume and lock people underground. Cassandra smiled, bending closer. And yet, here you are, still warm, still breathing. Because I allow it. Raina couldn't sleep. The heat pressed in like judgment. She sat at the chapel steps, staring at the moon. Footsteps approached. Leah, you're brave, Leah said. Raina looked up. No, I'm just angry. She's punishing Daniel because of you. I know. I shouldn't be here, Leah whispered. But I have something. She handed over a small wooden box. It's his, Leah said. He hid it under the church floorboards. Raina opened it. Inside, a USB drive and a folded photo. Abraham Bell, much younger, holding baby Raina. On the back, she said she'd keep you safe. I was wrong. Raina blinked hard. What's on the drive? I don't know, Leah said. But whatever it is, it scared her. The next morning, Raina found an old laptop in the schoolhouse. She plugged in the drive. A video file, grainy, dated 2 days before Abraham's death. He sat at his desk, sweat on his forehead, voice shaking. If you're watching this, then I'm gone. He looked directly into the camera. Cassandra isn't what she seems. She makes people disappear. She made your mother disappear. A pause. She says she speaks for God. But God doesn't hide wills, or fake visions, or burn evidence. Another pause. I tried to leave. She brought me back. I don't think I'll escape again. Static. Then, one last line. Raina, if you find this, take what's yours. Raina gasped. Suddenly, the schoolhouse door slammed open. 2 guards. They grabbed her arms. You're needed at the chapel. No, she shouted. Let go of me. The laptop crashed to the floor. The chapel was full. People stood shoulder to shoulder, candles flickering. Cassandra stood at the altar in gold robes. Raina was forced to the front. She broke into the records room. Cassandra announced. She stole private footage. Doctored videos. Raina shouted, It was my father. Cassandra raised her hands. She claims to know him, to speak for him. But he chose this fold. He built it with me. The crowd murmured. Raina held her ground. You're lying. He tried to run from you. Did he say that? In a video? How convenient. Raina's voice broke. You killed him. Silence. Cassandra smiled. If you truly believe that, then let us test your purity. She turned to the crowd. Tonight, Raina Lang will face the ritual of dust. Gasps. She will sleep beneath the altar where the holy soil rests. And if she emerges untouched, we shall believe her. That night, Raina was locked in the chapel. Alone, the altar door was sealed. Beneath it, a narrow crawl space filled with ash and dry earth. No light, no air. Raina crawled in, holding her breath, body pressed against bone and splinters of old wood. Voices outside sang hymns. Her breath caught. She felt something, cold, metallic. A lockbox. She pulled it close. Inside, a folded paper. A will. Abraham Bell's signature at the bottom. I leave my land, my writings, and my legacy to my daughter Raina Lang. She gasped. This was it. Suddenly, dust filled her lungs. She coughed violently. The hatch above her opened. Cassandra's voice. Have you found salvation? Raina held the will close to her chest. Yes, she said. By morning, the fold waited outside. Cassandra appeared, arms wide. She has survived, she said. The serpent did not strike. Raina stepped forward, covered in dust, face pale. She raised the will. This is my father's truth. The crowd gasped. Cassandra's smile didn't move. That paper is a forgery. It's in his handwriting. He was confused, dying, easily tricked. Then why hide it? Raina demanded. Why bury it under the altar? Cassandra turned to the crowd. Because she is lost. And when the lost come bearing flames, we must protect our house. A voice spoke from the crowd. Let her speak. It was Leah. Another voice. Let us read the paper. Daniel's voice. Weak, but clay. He stood at the edge, bruised, but free. Cassandra's smile twitched. This is a house of God, she said. Not a courtroom. Daniel stepped forward. And God is not afraid of truth. Cassandra raised her hand. Enough. She turned to Raina. If you want proof, then take the fold. Murmurs. If you believe you're the true heir, she said softly, then lead tomorrow's ritual. Walk in my shoes. Feel the weight. Raina narrowed her eyes. What's the catch? No catch. Just light the fire. Lead the prayer. Guide the offerings. And they will see. Raina looked at Daniel. Then back to Cassandra. Fine. I will. Cassandra leaned in. Good. Because faith is heavier than it looks. Later that night, Raina met Daniel behind the barn. I found the will, she whispered. They saw it. Doesn't matter, he said. She planted something new. What? She made herself the victim. Again, letting you take over makes her look like a saint stepping aside. Raina stayed into the night. Then tomorrow, We burned the mosque. Dawn in dustlight was the color of dry bones. Raina stood in front of the chapel, her face washed, hair tied back. A white robe had been left for her, folded neatly at her door. No note, just silence. The robe smelled faintly of lavender and smoke. She slipped it on. Daniel met her by the well. He looked tired, still limping. "You don't have to do this," he said. "She challenged me," Raina replied. "I'll answer. She wants you to fail. Then I'll make her regret the invitation." Inside the chapel, the pews filled slowly. Women on the left, men on the right, children cross-legged on the floor. Cassandra entered first, barefoot, dressed in deep blue. She sat near the altar, smiling like a proud mother. Raina walked up the aisle, clutching Abraham's Bible, the one she found in the hidden room, its pages brittle but untouched. She lit the central candle. "Today," she began, voice steady, "we honor the fire that purifies, the earth that remembers, and the truth that survives lies." Some heads nodded. Others frowned. Cassandra lowered her eyes, pretending to pray. Raina continued, "My father once said God is not a cage. He said love without choice is not love at all." She looked around. "I believe this community can be better, braver, kinder." She turned toward the sacred fire pit behind the altar. "I invite you now to bring your offerings." One by one, the villagers brought bundles, herbs, letters, flowers, old shoes, even tears on paper. They placed them into the flames. The fire cracked. The room warmed. And then, smoke turned black. Raina frowned. Something was wrong. A sharp smell filled the air. Bitter, chemical, choking. People coughed. Children cried. Raina stepped back. The pit hissed. Cassandra stood slowly. "Oh no," she said softly. "The fire rejects us." Gasps. "No," Raina shouted. "Someone tampered with it." Cassandra clutched her chest. "This is what happens when we let the impure lead sacred rites." People murmured. "She poisoned the offering," one woman said. "She brought the serpent's curse," another muttered. Raina's throat tightened. "I didn't." A man stood. "We trusted you," he said. "You mocked our ways." Raina turned to Daniel. He looked lost. She grabbed the fire poker and stirred the pit. Something metallic clanked. A can. Gasoline. Planted. She held it up. "Someone did this to frame me." Cassandra stepped forward, calm as ever. "I'm so sorry, Raina," she said, tears welling in her eyes. But the fold has spoken. Later that day, Raina sat on the edge of her bed, gripping her knees. Daniel entered quietly. "She planned everything," Raina said. "She poisoned the fire, planted the gas, turned them all." "She's done worse," he replied. "She made me look like a fraud, a heretic. She made you look dangerous," Daniel said. "That's how she keeps power, by giving people something to fear." Raina looked up. "I can't win by playing nice." That night, Cassandra gathered her inner circle, 6 elders, all loyal. In her private parlor, she poured them tea. "She won't leave," said one. "She's stirring rebellion," said another. Cassandra sipped calmly. "She is a wound," she said. "But even wounds can be useful." They looked confused. "Let her speak," Cassandra continued. "Let her gather the lost. Let her build her little temple." "Why?" "Because when it crumbles, they'll crawl back to me." Meanwhile, Raina met with Leah and 3 other young followers in secret, behind the abandoned granary. "I have the original will," Raina said. "I have my father's journal. And I have a video. Why don't you release it?" Leah asked. "Because she'll say it's fake. She controls the screens, the speakers, the sermons." Raina pulled out a dusty envelope. "But she doesn't control this. Inside, financial records, bank transfers, hidden accounts. She's been collecting donations and hiding them in rural banks under different names," Raina said. "She's not just a liar. She's a thief." "What do we do?" asked one of the boys. "We expose her," Raina said. "At the harvest ritual. In front of everyone. It's only a week away." Leah bit her lip. "She'll kill you." Raina nodded. "Maybe, but I'd rather die than live under her shadow." The next day, Cassandra stood at the center of the fold, holding court with a small group of loyal followers. She walked barefoot in the date, hands open. "You've heard her speak," she said. "She brings old wounds and claims they are seeds. But what grows from bitterness? Silence. She wants to rule, but she does not want to serve." She turned to Sister Miriam. "Do you remember her mother?" Sister Miriam nodded. "She screamed in the night. So the devil walked beside her." "And what became of her?" "Vanished," Miriam said. "Like fog." Cassandra looked out at the horizon. "Maybe Raina will vanish too, if she follows the same path." That evening, a fire burned in the south field. Raina stood with Daniel, watching the smoke rise. "Another warning," he said. "They burned my mother's tree," she whispered. "The one she planted when I was born." Daniel touched her shoulder. "We need more than evidence." Raina turned. "What do you mean?" "We need something that shakes them, breaks the illusion." She thought for a moment. "Her diaries." "What?" "The ones in her hidden room. The ones marked with names. You said they were coded." "I'll decode them." Daniel looked uncertain. "You really want to open that door again?" Raina's jaw tightened. "I want to kick it down." Back in Cassandra's secret basement, Raina opened one of the journals labeled Brother Caleb. Inside, records of punishments, confessions, payments, rituals, and a note. "Father Abraham wanted to give Caleb's wife a teaching position. I advised against it. She now works in the fields. Obedience owned." Raina turned the page. Another note. "Raina's birth was a stain. Abraham wept. I told him to bury the memory. He agreed." She stared at the ink, her breath shallow. Another page. A date. "The same day her mother disappeared. She came to confront me. She said she'd tell everyone. I sent her away. Far away. The clinic never called back." Her hands trembled. Daniel read over her shoulder. "She ordered it," he whispered. "She erased her." They looked at each other. No words. Finally, Raina whispered, "She murdered my mother." Daniel touched her face gently. "And your father." Raina stood. "Then she doesn't deserve this fold." "I do." The morning sun rose red, bleeding across the desert sky. Raina sat alone beneath the twisted Joshua tree, Abraham's Bible in her lap and Cassandra's stolen journals spread across the ground. Every page was a matchstick. Confessions, bribes, punishments hidden as spiritual corrections, instructions to plant rumors, threats masked as blessings. She flipped through them, her fingers black with dust and ink. Daniel arrived with a canvas sack over his shoulder. "I got the speakers," he said, breathless. "2 of them. They'll work with the drone." "And the drone?" "Ezekiel's building it now. He said it can hover for 5 minutes without being noticed." Raina nodded. "It's enough." Inside the fold, preparations for the harvest ritual had begun. Candles were lined along the chapel. Banners of orange and gold hung from every rooftop. Children practiced hymns. Women baked bread. Men slaughtered goats. Cassandra watched from her window, sipping herbal tea, her eyes calculating. Sister Miriam stood beside her, holding a list. "Raina has gathered 10 volunteers," Miriam whispered. "Only 10. For now." Cassandra smiled faintly. "That's all a spark needs." She turned away from the window. "Let her plan. Let her dream. But the flame will burn her first." That afternoon, Raina met her small group in the abandoned barn. 10 young men and women, most barely out of adolescence, sat in a circle. She held up one of Cassandra's coded journals. "This is the truth," Raina said. "She controls you because she knows everything about you. Your sins, your fears, your secrets. She turns them into chains." Leah raised a hand. "How do we break them?" "We expose her," Raina replied. "But not in a fight. In a sermon." They looked confused. Raina explained. "We'll hijack the harvest ritual. We'll stream the truth live, through the drone. And we'll let her see her empire crumble from above." "What if she stops us?" someone asked. "She will," Raina said, "unless we make her believe she already won." That night, Raina went to Cassandra's home. The guards tried to block her, but Cassandra waved them aside. Raina entered the parlor, where incense curled through the air like a snake. I've come to apologize, Raina said softly. Cassandra raised an eyebrow. Really? I was wrong. About everything. About the fold. About you. Cassandra set her teacup down slowly. Go on. Raina stepped forward, hands trembling, not with fear, but fury hidden under skin. I see it now. You kept this place together. You protected it when my father failed. Cassandra leaned back in her chair, satisfied. I never wanted to hurt you, she said gently, only to protect the light. Raina forced a tear to fall. Can I walk in the ritual, beside you, as your way? Cassandra's lips curved. Yes, she whispered. Yes, you may. The next day, Daniel and Ezekiel met in the woods. They unwrapped the drone, a small, gray device with a mounted speaker and camera. It's programmed, Ezekiel said. At exactly noon, it'll fly over the chapel and play whatever you upload. Daniel handed him a flash drive. Put it in. Ezekiel hesitated. This changes everything. I know, Daniel said. That's the point. The morning of the ritual arrived. Dustlight buzzed with life. Villagers gathered in their finest clothes. The sun was merciless, but no one complained. They believed this was the most sacred day of the year. At noon, the chapel bell rang. Cassandra and Raina walked side by side, both in white. The crowd parted as they approached the altar. Cassandra raised her hands. Today, she said, we offer thanks. Not just for the harvest of the land, but the harvest of hearts. Raina stood still, her eyes scanning the sky. 1 minute. Cassandra continued. There are seasons to everything. Growth, fire, death, and rebirth. She looked at Raina. Even serpents must shed their skin. Raina stepped forward. I'd like to say something, she said. Cassandra hesitated. The crowd looked confused. Cassandra smiled tightly. Of course. Raina took a breath. I was raised outside these walls. I lived in shadows, but I never forgot where I came from. My blood is Bell blood. My father died for the truth, and I am here to finish what he started. Murmurs. Cassandra laughed gently. She's young. Let her speak. Raina raised her voice. Today, I offer the truth. And then, the sound of buzzing. A soft whir. The drone. It hovered above the chapel roof. A speaker clicked. Then, if you're watching this, I'm gone. Abraham Bell's voice echoed through the village. Cassandra isn't what she seems. She makes people disappear. She made Raina's mother disappear. Gasps. She fakes visions. She lies. And if I die, it was her. Cassandra froze. No, she whispered. The villagers looked around, frightened. Raina, if you find this, take what's yours. The recording ended. Silence. Then, screams. Leah shouted, she lied. A man grabbed his wife's hand. We followed a murderer. Cassandra stepped back, pale. This is a trick, she screamed. He was confused. He loved me. Raina turned to her. You forged his will. You buried his journals. You ordered the clinic to silence my mother. You can't prove that. I can. She held up the journals. I decoded everything. Cassandra rushed forward, claws out. Raina didn't move. Guards grabbed Cassandra. She struggled. You fools, she screamed. I built this. You needed me. You'll beg me to come back. Raina stared at her, unblinking. No one's begging anymore. Later, Cassandra sat in her cell. She didn't cry. She didn't speak. But she smiled. A small, cruel smile. Because in her mind, the fold still breathed her name. The fold had never seen a day without Cassandra Bell at its center. Now, they wandered through the village like ghosts. Some refused to speak. Others wept openly. And some, mostly the young, began to breathe again, as if air had returned to dustlight for the first time. Cassandra sat in a cell beneath the chapel. No window, no mirror, just a metal bed bolted to the wall and a rusted sink that moaned when touched. She never asked for a Bible. She didn't pray. She waited and smiled. Raina stood before the congregation 3 days later. Her robe was gray, not white. I won't pretend to be a prophet, she said, or a savior. I'm just someone who wants the truth to live here again. She unrolled a document. This is my father's true will. You saw it. You heard him say it. But more than that, you felt it. The fear he carried. The warning he left. Silence. I don't ask you to forget Cassandra Bell. I ask you to remember everything, so it never happens again. She placed the will on the altar. Then she whispered, "Let's start over." In the weeks that followed, the fold changed. The statues were taken down. The rituals shortened. The children began to ask questions in class, and no one shushed them. Raina moved into the pastor's old house but left the door open. Every evening, people came with questions, concerns, confessions. She listened. Sometimes, she cried with them. Sometimes, she just held their hands. Daniel stayed nearby, working the land again. He planted new seeds in the dusty fields. Hope, he said, was a stubborn thing. It grew in silence. Leah led the younger girls in painting over the murals of Cassandra's face. They painted wildflowers, birds, and open gates. One night, Raina stood in the chapel alone. She looked at the cross hanging behind the altar. It used to feel cold, heavy, like a weapon. Now, it just looked tired. She stepped into the back room, once Cassandra's sanctuary. The scent of lavender still clung to the curtains. She opened every drawer, every trunk, every file. Then, tucked inside the spine of an old hymn book, she found a key. It was small, brass, marked with the letter A. Daniel helped her search. They started with Abraham's old office. Nothing. Then the barn. Nothing. Then, behind the cemetery, Raina remembered something her father once wrote. The soil forgets, but the stones remember. They searched for hours. Then Daniel kicked something. A floor plate, hidden beneath gravel and weeds. A lock. The key fit perfectly. Inside, a staircase led to a narrow underground chamber. Cool. Dry. Carved into the earth. Dust filled their lungs. But what they found froze their blood. Tapes. Dozens of them. Labeled by date. Some over 20 years old. A recorder sat nearby, dusty but intact. Raina pressed play. Abraham's voice crackled to life. Entry 73. Cassandra says the voice returned today. She says the serpent spoke through the child again. I told her to rest. She wept for hours. Click. Entry 91. I found the letter. From the clinic. They never admitted Raina's mother. Cassandra lied. I don't know where she went. Or if she's alive. Click. Entry 112. I saw her hit Daniel. He was just a boy. She said he stole bread. He didn't. Click. Entry 190. I've written my final will. Raina must never see the things I allowed. I was weak. She must be stronger. Raina's hands shook. She tried to erase him, she whispered. But he erased himself first. Back at the fold, murmurs began to spread. Some questioned Raina's right to lead. She wasn't raised here, they said. She doesn't know our ways. She brings too much change. Others whispered that Cassandra had planted her, a long game, a new mask. The poison didn't die with the queen. It lingered. Then, a letter arrived at Raina's door. No name, just the fold's wax seal. Inside, a photo. Cassandra in her cell. But not alone. A young woman sat beside her. Leah. Daniel rushed in seconds later. She's gone, he said. Leah left her home last night. No one's seen her since. Raina looked at the photo again. The expression on Cassandra's face. Not smug. Not cruel. Triumphant. They stormed the cell. Cassandra sat on her bed, her hands folded neatly. Where is she? Raina demanded. Cassandra smiled. She came to me. You poisoned her mind. I fed her what you refused. Structure. Safety. Certainty. She was free. No one is ever free, Cassandra said. Not fully. People need stories. They need someone to tell them what matters. Raina's voice rose. You're done telling stories. Oh, sweet girl, Cassandra whispered. I haven't even begun. The next night, Raina called an emergency gathering. We found hidden tapes, she said. Confessions. Crimes. Abuse. She played Abraham's voice for them. Some wept. Others covered their ears. We must not just erase Cassandra's memory, Raina said. We must rebuild this fold. Root and all. But murmurs continued. You have no training. You were born from a sinner. Maybe Abraham's blood doesn't matter anymore. That night, someone painted the word heretic on Raina's door. Daniel sat with her on the porch. They are scared, he said. They should be. Not of you. Raina turned to him. I'm not trying to replace her. But she was all they knew. And now I'm nothing. Daniel touched her hand. You're the truth. She looked away. That's not enough. The next morning, a package arrived. Inside, a single candle. The kind used only during funerals. Tied around it, a note. He died for the fold. You will too. The candle sat on Raina's desk all night, unlit. She stayed at it for hours. At the white wax, the black wick, at the way it looked, intentional, like a ritual waiting for a hand. Daniel returned just before sunrise, his boots muddy. I found Leah's scarf, he said, near the old grain silo. Was she alone? No, there were prints. 2 sets, one lighter, one heavy. Raina's voice was low. Cassandra has visitors. Still. Daniel nodded. And followers. In the chapel, Raina stood before the dwindling congregation. Fewer than half had shown up. The rest stayed behind, eyes shut, ears closed. She cleared her throat. Leah is missing, Raina said. Someone left this candle at my door. A warning. Maybe a threat. Murmurs rippled. I believe Cassandra's control didn't end with her arrest. I believe it was just the beginning. Someone shouted from the back. You're paranoid. A woman stood. This was a peaceful village before you came. Raina stared. Calm. Was it peaceful or just quiet? More murmurs. She pointed to the altar. I have nothing to sell. No promises of heaven. Only the truth. You can hate it, or you can build something better with it. She walked away. Behind her, the silence was louder than applause. That evening, Daniel found a note pinned to the garden fence. Torn paper. Faded ink. Midnight. Stonewell. Come alone. Leah bleeds. Raina clutched it. I'm going. No, Daniel said. It's a trap. Exactly. You're walking into it. I'm ending it. Daniel shook his head. Then I'm going with you. No, Raina said. If I fall, you lead them. Raina. She kissed his cheek. Firm. Final. Dustlight can survive without me. It can't survive if Cassandra's rot keeps growing. Midnight. The desert was still, as if the stars themselves were holding their breath. Raina walked toward the stone well, the old place where confessions used to be whispered, where secrets were buried, not shared. She heard footsteps before she saw them. Leah stood near the well, pale and trembling. Behind her, Sister Miriam. Her hands wrapped tight around Leah's shoulders, a knife glinting in one. Raina stopped. Miriam. She's awake, the old woman said. She sees. Cassandra showed her. She's a child. She's chosen. Raina stepped forward. Let her go. She came on her own. Leah nodded, eyes glazed. She told me the world outside is poison. That you're the storm, Raina, not the cure. I'm not a cure, Raina said. I'm just trying to give you choices. She gave me clarity, Leah said softly. You gave me doubt. Raina opened her hands. You don't have to choose tonight. But Leah was already turning away. Sister Miriam pushed her behind the well, then pulled something from her pocket. A lighter. A candle. The funeral candle. She lit it and dropped it into the well. A roar echoed. Gasoline. An explosion of flame burst up from the ground. Raina dove, shielding her face. Miriam screamed. Then silence. When Raina rose, Miriam was gone. Ash on the wind. Leah was curled on the ground, sobbing. Raina grabbed her, pulled her away. She was going to. I didn't know. I know, Raina said. You're okay now. But in her heart, she knew. This was a message, not an accident. The next morning, Raina stood before the fold. There was a fire at Stonewell, she said. Planted. Deliberate. Sister Miriam is dead. Leah nearly died. Gasps. Cries. She was following Cassandra's orders. Whispers. She tried to sacrifice herself. For myth. For ghost. Someone asked, and Leah? She's safe, Raina said, but shaken. More silence. Then, a man stepped forward, Brother Caleb. The blacksmith. I found something. He held up a map. Found in Miriam's home. It showed tunnels beneath the village. Old mining routes. Marked in red ink. At the center, Cassandra's cell. She was planning escape, Caleb said. Maybe Weiss. Daniel and Raina explored the tunnels together. Dark, cold, ancient. They found remnants of food. Cuts. Lanterns. Blank pages. A plan. A movement. A new fold. When they returned, guards reported Cassandra refused food. She just sits, they said, smiling. Raina went to her, opened the cell. The air was thick with incense. You tried to burn the girl, Raina said. Cassandra didn't move. I told you, she whispered. They need fire. You lied to them. They needed lies. Raina stepped closer. You built tunnels. A new escape. No, a rebirth. You sent Miriam. I sent no one. She heard my silence and called it God. Raina stared. You still think you're holy. Cassandra met her eyes. I don't think. I know. Raina whispered. You're going to die in this cell. Cassandra leaned forward. Then bury me deep, child. Because seeds always rise. Later, Raina found a final tape in Abraham's study. Unlabeled. She played it alone. Cassandra, if you're listening, I know you'll outlive me. Maybe even Raina. Maybe everyone. You don't die. You scatter. But one day, someone will look at you and not see God. They'll see a woman. Frightened. Desperate. Hungry. I hope that day comes soon. Click. Dustlight didn't sleep that week. After the fire at the well and Miriam's death, Raina tried to restore calm. But something deeper had been stirred, a silence that no prayer could reach. People began seeing shadows in the chapel, whispering voices near the stone walls. Some believed it was Cassandra's spirit. Others believed she never left. Raina knew better. She knew ghosts had nothing to do with it. Only people and secrets. She walked into the archive room. What was left of it? Half the scrolls had burned in the riot. But the floorboards, still stained with candle wax and dirt, caught her attention. She kneeled. Knocked. Hello. She pried it open. Beneath, another compartment. A small box. Inside, a recording device. And a strip of labeled cassette tapes. Each marked with a name. One name stopped her breath. Daniel. Later, in private, Raina played the tape. She came to me again, Daniel's voice said. Younger. Shaken. Cassandra told me Raina would return someday. She said she'd bring rot. Said I'd have to choose. I didn't want this. But if I stay close to her, I can control the damage. Maybe guide her. Maybe even love her. Is that a betrayal? I don't know. Raina pressed stop. She couldn't breathe. Leah entered, carrying a cloth bundle. I found this near the vegetable shed, she said. Inside the bundle, a cloak. Dark gray. The same shade Cassandra wore, but newer. With it, a map, marked with escape routes. And a symbol Raina hadn't seen before. A broken circle with a flame in the center. What is this? Leah asked. Raina stared. A second fold, she whispered. A seed colony. Leah blinked. Cassandra was preparing another community. Or a backup. That night, Daniel returned to the chapel. He found Raina waiting. She said nothing, just held out the tape. He took it, played it. When it ended, the room was silent. He looked up. I said those things, Daniel admitted. I was lost. You weren't lost, Raina said. You were recruited. I thought I could keep you safe. By lying to me. I wanted to love you and protect what little I believed in. Raina stepped closer. And now? I believe in you, he said. Raina's face hardened. But I don't know what you're capable of anymore. Days passed. Then another letter arrived. There's more beneath the chapel. He knew. Raina didn't need a name. She knew the handwriting. Abraham's. She returned to the chapel with Daniel and Leah. Together, they pried up the altar stone. Beneath it, an ancient staircase. Candle in hand, Raina led the way. The air was thick, stale, sacred. At the bottom, a small crypt. And inside it, a sarcophagus, sealed. On it, carved words. To silence a prophet is to bury the world. Raina trembled. It's not my father, she said. They opened it. Inside, notebooks. Dozens. Journals from Abraham. Older than the others. One dated 10 years before Raina's birth. She opened one. Cassandra was not always this way, but the visions changed her. She heard a voice. At first, it was small, kind, then louder, cruel. I believe it was her own. She created a god in her image. And now, I no longer recognize her. Page after page, warnings. Please. Plans to leave. Plans to expose her. A letter addressed to Raina. She read it silently. If you read this, I failed. But failure doesn't mean surrender. Take the fold and break it. Not for me, not for you, but for whoever comes after. When Raina left the crypt, the air felt different. Lighter, but above ground, the village wasn't still. It buzzed. People were gathering. Cassandra's voice echoed through a loudspeaker. She's still speaking, Leah said. No, Raina whispered. Someone is letting her speak. They ran. The town square. A small crowd. And there, Daniel. At the speaker controls. Cassandra's voice played on loop. She poisoned this place with doubt. She buried the light. But the fold is not a person. It's a flame. Raina froze. Daniel saw her. Ran to her. I didn't know, he said. Someone switched the tapes. But you played it. I thought. You didn't think, Raina snapped. You believed. Daniel's eyes dropped. Maybe I never stopped. That night, Raina sat alone on the chapel roof. Ash floated in the air. She lit a match, watched it bane down to her fingertips. She whispered, I'm not a prophet, and let it burn. The wind that swept through dustlight that morning carried no dust, just silence. The fold gathered in the chapel, shoulder to shoulder. No one spoke. Even the children sensed it. Something final was coming. Raina stood at the altar, not in robes but a plain linen dress. Her hands trembled slightly, but her voice did not. Today, she said, we'll lay down what was built on faith. She turned and pointed to the back wall, where a massive portrait of Abraham and Cassandra still hung, framed in gold. Raina walked to it. With one firm motion, she pulled the frame down. It shattered. Behind it, a small recess in the wall, another hiding place. Inside, more ledgers, coated logs, and a bundle of letters. Letters from Raina's mother. Unsent. Each addressed to Abraham. Each sealed. Raina read one aloud. I can't raise her outside. They look at us like ghosts. You said you would protect us. But your wife is not a woman. She's a storm, and she'll drown us both. The crowd was still. Raina let the letter fall. This is the truth of our foundation. After the gathering, Raina walked through the village alone. People nodded, touched her shoulder, called her Mother Raina. She flinched at the title. She didn't want to be anyone's mother. She wanted to be a mirror, a door, a bridge, not a new Cassandra. Daniel met her by the well. They believe in you now. They believe in hope, Raina said. Not in me. They're the same thing. She turned to him, then rested her head on his chest. Promise me something, she whispered. Anything. If I ever sound like her, stop me. Daniel smiled sadly. I'd die before I let that happen. That night, Leah came to Raina in tears. She spoke to me, she whispered. Through the wall. Raina froze. Cassandra. Leah nodded. She said, the fold must fold inwards before it can open again. She's planning something, Raina said. Something final. Leah shook her head. She's dying. The guards confirmed it the next morning. Cassandra refused water, refused food, refused air. She lay in her cell, eyes closed, smiling faintly. The doctor, brought from a neighboring town, said she had days, maybe hours. She's choosing to leave, he said, starving herself, peacefully. Raina stood at the cell bars. Cassandra opened her eyes. I wanted to die here, she whispered, where they could remember me. You'll be forgotten, Raina said. No, Cassandra said. You'll never forget me. Raina walked away, but her heart was pounding. Why did it feel like she was the one being buried? Later that afternoon, Raina sat with Daniel, watching the sunset from the chapel steps. You look tired, he said. I am. She leaned into him. You still have the drone. Daniel nodded. Why? I want to speak to more than just Dustlight. He handed it over. You planning your first sermon to the world? No, Raina said. My last. That night, she climbed the bell tower and attached a speaker to the drone. She recorded herself, voice calm, stripped of pride. My name is Raina Lang. I was born in Dustlight. My mother died running from it. My father died trying to fix it. And I lived. This is not a place of God. Not yet. But maybe it can be. If you're hearing this, know that power never ends. It only changes shape. So question every hand that offers to save you. Even mine. She sent the drone east, toward the nearest town, toward the people who had heard of Dustlight, but never understood it. Now, they would, but the quiet didn't last. That same night, Raina returned to her house. The front door was open. The window shattered. Inside, chaos. Furniture overturned. Walls scratched. The scent of lavender, faint and fading. And on the floor, a pool of blood. Daniel's knife. And a note. She had help. Raina's breath caught. A second note beneath it. In a familiar hand. He opened the door. You just never asked. Flashback. A moment she'd ignored. Daniel, slipping away during Cassandra's trial. Daniel, saying I found it before she showed him anything. Daniel, bringing her the drone. Too convenient. Too ready. Too close. She ran to the cell. It was empty. Guards unconscious on the floor. And on the bed, Daniel's jacket, covered in ashes. Outside, a single torch burned in the wheat field. A figure in the distance. Cassandra. No, Daniel. He turned. Their eyes met. Raina walked toward him, slow. He stood still. Then, I didn't want this. You chose it, she said. I didn't know how to leave her. She killed your family. She gave me purpose. She gave you chains. She gave me you. Raina froze. What? Daniel stepped closer. Cassandra said, if I earned your trust, she'd make me her heir. You were her plan. I didn't know she meant to hurt you. Not at first. But then, I stayed. Why? Daniel's eyes watered. Because I fell in love with you. Silence. Raina whispered. You helped her escape. He nodded. I didn't kill anyone. I swear. But you let her out. I couldn't let her die in a cage. She built cages. I know. He stepped forward. Raina pulled the knife from her belt. I have to stop this. I know. He dropped to his knees. Do it. She couldn't move. Not yet. Not like this. Raina stood in the wheat field, the moonlight turning everything silver. Her hand trembled around the knife. Daniel knelt before her, unarmed, unmoving. He wasn't pleading. He was ready. I should end this, she whispered. I know, he replied. You betrayed everything. I did, he said, but I never lied about how I felt for you. She looked down at him. The man who once swore to protect her, now revealed as the last string on Cassandra's puppet hand. What did she promise you? Daniel's voice broke. To make the fold new. With you. And me. Together. She hated me. She wanted to be remembered, he said. Through blood. Through legacy. And you believed her. I believed in the version of her I met when I was a boy. Before the cruelty. Before the rituals. Raina lowered the knife. But you saw what she became. I did. And still. I stayed. Silence. You're worse than her, she said. Daniel looked up, eyes red. I know. She walked away, left him kneeling. The knife dropped to the ground behind her. Back at the fold, fires were already burning. The schoolhouse, the archives, even the chapel bell tower, its roof aflame, casting long shadows over the desert. They're torching it all, Leah cried, trying to erase her. No, Raina said, trying to erase me. The old believers, the last loyal to Cassandra, they weren't interested in rebuilding, only purifying what they saw as defiled. Raina and Leah rushed to the square. Screams. Chaos. One of the younger boys ran up. They said you're the imposter. That Cassandra lives through you now. Raina stood on the chapel steps, shouting. This isn't the fold she wanted. This isn't the fold anyone deserves. But no one listened. Not anymore. A scream. Leah fell, blood on her sleeve. A rock had struck her shoulder. Raina pulled her back behind the altar. Smoke surrounded them, and through it all, a figure walked calmly. Cassandra, alive, robed, burned, but not broken. She stepped onto the ash-covered stage like a queen retaking her throne. Gasps spread like fire. She's alive. She's risen. She raised her arms. No more hiding, she said. No more shadows. You've seen what comes when you let the lost lead. People dropped to their knees. Raina stared, stunned. You were dying. I changed my mind, Cassandra said. You let them believe. I let them hope. You tried to destroy this place. No, Cassandra said. I'm saving it. From you. Then, another voice. Daniel. He stepped forward, bruised, burned. No more lies. He held a speaker. The drone hovered above, and through it came Abraham Bell's voice. Again, Cassandra, you lied to me. To everyone. If anyone's still listening, don't follow the light. Follow the one who sees the dark and stays anyway. Then Daniel's voice cut in. I betrayed Raina, but I can't watch her fall for your sins. He dropped the speaker and ran into the fire, straight at Cassandra. She didn't flinch, but she didn't see the oil Daniel had poured around her robes. One spark, one step too far, and she ignited. Screams. She didn't run. She stood tall, burning. A martyr to some, a monster to others. The flames rose until her silhouette disappeared. Raina fell to her knees, tears in her eyes. Leah pulled her close. She's gone, Leah whispered. But Raina shook her head. She's everywhere. The fires burned through the night. By dawn, the fold was still standing, but charred. Quiet. Broken. Survivors swept ash from their doorsteps. Children sat in circles, unsure if they were allowed to laugh yet. Daniel's body was found near the garden. Face calm. Hands open. He had no weapon, only a folded page in his pocket. One of Cassandra's fake prophecies, crossed out in red ink. A week later, Raina stood by the ruins of the chapel. She didn't rebuild it. Instead, she planted something. A tree, desert-resistant, strong roots. Leah helped her water it. Other women arrived, some from other cults. Survivors, outsiders. They began a center. No sermons, no statues, no prophets, just stories, support, shelter, a place without gods, just people. Months passed. Hope bloomed, slow and fragile. Children learned to read. Women learned to speak without fear. Raina never took the title of leader. She said, I'm just another person who crawled out of a fire. Then, one morning, a letter arrived. No seal, no sender. Inside, Cassandra Bell died in dustlight. Or so they said. Below the note, a photograph. A blonde woman in a nun's habit, walking through a monastery courtyard in the south of France. Head bowed, a faint smile on her lips. Raina stood by the tree she planted. The wind picked up, ash lifted from the soil. She didn't speak. She didn't cry. She just said, even seeds need shadows to grow.